Hey guys, welcome to Stacking Pennies. Big show this week. The Chase is joining us right here in the Nonsense Garage, teasing what's coming out next. A lot of stuff breaking down. We got some dry weather. We got some wet weather. We got all sorts of things in between to break down right here on Stacking Pennies. So buckle up. Let's go.
Stacking them deep, selling them cheap.
It tastes like gasoline, rubber, and victory.
We're just out here stacking pennies.
Hey guys, welcome to Stacking Pennies. Corey LaJoie here alongside Ryan Flores, Bowman Gray competitor.
Crashed.
You raced on Saturday night.
Yeah, I got crashed. I was doing good.
Hang on. How'd you get crashed? I heard you knocked the carburetor off.
So, yeah, it was like one of those big stacks. I was having a hard time. That's only my really third real modified race. So, just trying to figure out.
I don't know if I would really consider a Bowman Gray modified race like a real modified race. That's just more of like a demolition derby.
Well, I mean, no, it's a
real race.
That's the easy answer. But, right, like, yeah, you sound like Freddie. Well, here's why I'll tell you this. It was more about, like, figuring out restarts. So, I was working on keeping my fronts hot, and then John Holland, who's raced out of here, he kind of drug some dirt across the track on the second to last restart. And the really only way you make hay there is by taking advantage of restarts. It's much like cup racing.
That's it.
And I about spun out. I don't know if I didn't keep my rears hot enough, but I about spun out in the one, and it let Chris Fleming down in front of me. And then going in the three, there was a big check, and I got checked up to where I was going to turn through the grass. And then I don't know if Jason Myers got pushed to me, but I got driven underneath Fleming's car, like, whoa, whoa, whoa. And I went to go turn it back on, and there was fuel spilling out of it. I was like, oh, man, we're done.
Dang it.
But we worked on the car, made it better. It's a lot of fun racing there. But, hey, part of racing's wrecking.
It is. So you put a carburetor and front bumper on that unit and get her going.
Well, we
time.
almost made it right back out, but it didn't actually knock the carburetor off. It just got like the top, the nut on that little screw on the top of the bowl.
Yep.
It just kind of got that, but we were going to go back out.
That's impressive. You knocked the bowl adjuster off by a rear bumper.
I was trying to figure out where the 16's track bar was, I guess. Yeah, I went up to him afterwards like, hey, I want you to know I didn't just run any. I kind of got shoved because I had it checked up, and I was going to turn through the grass because you can kind of steal spots there.
He's going to name a cow after you now.
Well, we can kind of steal spots there under caution.
Got this cow named Flores.
And I had it checked up to where I was going to turn underneath everybody, and then when I started getting shoved, I tried to square back up.
Yeah.
And it just blew the bumper off, and I went underneath it.
Dang it.
It was quite the scene. But
so that was your Saturday.
You got
my Saturday was exciting.
4 laps of excitement.
4 laps of excitement. We sat around for about 15, 20 minutes prior to practice where we probably could have been ripping some laps, but certainly it was a fluid situation, pun intended. NASCAR was moving and combining groups and doing all the things, and they just said, hey, 1 30-minute practice, let's let her rip, no qualifying, okay? We'll start the race based off the metric. So we let it rip. And I think it was good for us just to validate. We had a really tough time this week trying to figure out what tire we were going to use on the simulator. Because there's a GM tire, there's a Hendrick tire, there's a Key Partner tire, there's a generic tire. There's about 4
There's only one Goodyear tire you run.
I know, but there's different ways that people siphon through the data and figure out how to do it.
That's confusing.
It is very confusing. And you are married to which tire and your unload, right? Because you don't get a chance to change your 4 springs. So whatever tire you dial that thing in on is all you got. So we got a chance to validate, okay, we went with a certain tire this week, and it was close. So that was good. We unloaded pretty fast. Balance was what we anticipated it to be, and we were able to adjust our car from there, and I was excited about the pace of our Schluter Systems Camaro. I think we were 11th. So then, not to fast forward too far in the race because we have enough stuff to talk about there, I threw out the first pitch at a Manchester Fisher Cats game. Fire that video up. I told the guy because there was like an 88-year-old woman that threw a pitch out before me, and some 7-year-old kid tossed it before. But I told the guy.
So you threw the third pitch.
I threw the first pitch.
Okay.
So I was like, fella, this thing's gonna have a little more mustard on it than the 88-year-old grandma. Not much, but it's gonna be coming at you a little faster.
Okay.
And I came out And it was going to be a little chin music for a left-handed hitter, a little high and outside. Fired up the video. Where are we at? Danny
don't
Higgy,
have it.
Where are we at?
Thought
we had
over there like he ain't got it.
I think it probably touched 93, 94 miles an hour, give or take. But I didn't put all my arm into it. I kind of short armed it a little bit, but it was good.
Well,
got a couple cheers. There was the Schluter systems lined it up, and they also lined up me throwing the first pitch out of Texas Rangers game last year. And my Schluter guy. My Schluter guy was like, "Hey man, don't mess this up." I said, "There's only about 28,000 people less here than at the Rangers game. I think I'll be okay." So that was about the highlight of the weekend. Saturday night, throwing out the first pitch. Then we go to Sunday. We actually
hell of a modified race and Xfinity race. Shout out to Justin Bonsignor. Yeah, he did a great job.
Won the modified race, turned around and ran in the top 3 all day.
No practice, no qualifying. Just go ahead and go. So
ran in the top 3. He got kind of 7th, 8th, 9th right in the hornet's nest and got spun out.
Well,
right there at the end.
The fact that the thing that was impressive to me was after everything had cycled and all the hard stuff was done, he green flag pit stops through pit road. He was in the top 5, and then a couple of restarts, blah blah blah. He gets back there with some of the kids and they spin him out. Yep. So it's just part of Xfinity racing at the moment.
Yeah. What Ryan Priest called tuition is what I saw.
Is that what he said?
Yeah, he paid his tuition.
Yeah.
But, it was cool to see a modified guy get up there and take advantage of that opportunity. Unfortunately, the end result for Bonsignor didn't match the run that they had. And then let's move on to Sunday. So we dropped the rag. We start 26th based off the metric from last week, and my stuff was very good.
Yeah, you were hanging. I saw one point where you cycled and you were up front.
Yep. Well, so I'll get into that. We drove to 20th, started 26th, drove to 20th, felt good. A little bit loose in, a little bit loose off. Anticipated the track coming to us there. So then, I believe it was, I think it was stage 2.
You stayed out or you did too?
Stayed out.
You stayed out because this was kind of one of those moments where everybody was watching you to see how far you bled to see if it was a play for later in the race.
Correct. So we were trying to get stage points. We got stage point the last couple of weeks, Sonoma and Iowa. Let's keep the train moving. So the 22, the 11 stay out, as well as the 7. And there was 2 tires behind us, probably 4 or 5 guys, and then everybody else is on 4, but no buffer to old tires. So I was the last car on old tires, probably 20, 25 laps old. And I was like, okay, let's roll the top. Statistics show that the top is we're staying out. Roll the tape, staying out.
Watch the truck.
Watch the safety truck up top. So right here, I'm like, okay, let's pull the belts a little tight. Just a little spin the tires on the restart a little bit. Get a little shot from the 20 into 1.
How nervous are you staying out like that, being in the hornet's nest?
Just got to do it, man. Oh.
So then you had kind of stayed and you.
So hang on. So we're rolling the tape right now if you're watching on YouTube. So the 38 gets into the 4 and plugs me straight in the fence off of 2. That knocked the toe. So my steering wheel went from 1 o'clock to about 2:30 at this point.
Did you think about right hooking the 4 there?
For sure.
Okay.
And then I was like, nah, Chase got fined a lot of money. I don't want to take a week off. So I decided not to hook them as bad as I wanted to. Because at that point in time, you get stuck in the fence like that hard, you're like, our day's over. Especially as finicky as how sensitive the front toe is and rear toe. Right here we're wounded.
Do you blame it on the 4 there, or do you blame it on the 38?
That was the first time I've seen it. The 38 getting into left rear. That's just also hard racing on restarts.
Product of the racetrack, too, being so wide in the corners and so narrow on exit.
Correct. So our strategy was going to work. We ended up still netting, I think, 2 or 3 spots. Before the whole cycle started, we were 17th. I think we entered the stage 15th. So all in all, it was a +2 net gain. Problem was, we're on the defensive, got plugged in the fence by the 4 and the 38, knocks the toe out. Now I'm mad. And then caution comes out. So if it goes green there, we only bleed to probably 7th or 8th. But now caution comes out, another heat cycle on your tires, and after the second heat cycle on scuffs, it is very tight. So we were already a little bit tight to begin with. So then I was a little bit more defensive the second time, and that's when we get crashed. So this is an instance here. Got a little loose, had to check. 24 is right there on the inside. I mean, there's a couple things going on there at this instance. So everybody's got flat shift or swole. So when the in-car camera, the 24. So coming off 2, I'm a little bit sideways, and at the same time, so the swole works how when it gets to a certain RPM number, it cuts timing. You pull the gear, and it's 1.5 feet, maybe 2 feet faster per straightaway of that blip than naturally blipping. But the problem is sometimes when you get loose like that, the wheel spin gets it up to that 8,800 mark or 8,900 mark, and it cuts timing when you're not trying to pull the gear. So that's what happened with the 24.
So you're free.
I'm spinning the tires loose, and it and
then it
sits back on the left rear.
Yeah.
24 was tight to me. I'm glad we came out of there unscathed. Caution comes out. And I could have probably maintained 7th, 8th, 9th right there, but get a yellow, get back in traffic. I think this is when we pitted, so it all recycles, start the third segment. And now you're just fighting. Kind of a little bit, we lose some track position. Our car's still okay. Toes knocked out, knocked some potential speed out of our car, but now we're still fighting. I think we're 19th here. Top of 3, just back in the hornet's nest, all in the, you got guys top, bottom, different lanes, 77's in the middle. So the 40, I looked right here in the mirror, and the 41's up in no man's land. So let's pause it right here. And when I peaked at the 5/8 mark, the 41 was going backwards and not there. And I knew I had 2 bottom, so the 3 is backing up hard. He's getting a little bit squirrely, and he checks. I have to check. Meanwhile, the 41's got his leg in it, seeing a little opening. I wish, in hindsight, he wouldn't have stuck it there, but he stuck it there where there's a little bit of asphalt and turned us into the fence. You could roll it. Just tight race in there, and that essentially ended our day. The right front suspension was killed. Right rear suspension was killed.
So, yeah, okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't fault.
You see
I don't
that?
fault him.
No, he's going for it.
And it's just 5 years ago I fault him, but the way all you guys race now, you got to take it when it's there. And you were a little soft getting up there too.
Well, because the 3's going backwards, so I check, and he's still got his leg in it with drive, and then kills the right front, kills the right rear. Now the right rear is facing the wrong direction, bends a toe link, and it's just now we're just limping at home, really and truly. But so the freaking right front toe link looked like a V.
Question mark, yeah.
Looked like a question mark. Dozen turns. My car chief brewer goes over the wall. We reset my wheel. He cranks the left front tie rod. We stay on the lead lap. And now it's like, okay, let's just get this thing home. Whatever we have to do. Right front's killed. Right rear's killed. Left side's knocked off of it. But, so we're still in the dry. 7 races essentially over at this point because we're done. I thought we could have ran 13th to 15th. It was probably where our speed was in the dry. With
I thought you were going to be good. I mean, strategy was a big part of it.
Yeah,
but if you had the speed to hang on up there like you did,
we could have hung on with Wrights, I think. And who knows, right? I think we were as good as the 34. The 34 hung on, and he played track position well, played the fuel game well.
Guy, bro.
Well, yeah, he wrecked y'all. We'll get into that in a minute. But I think the spiciest moment of the weekend. Not often you hear a little team-on-team bickering, and I believe that's what we heard. So the 11, we have seen this movie before. The 11 on the bottom of the 5, running it tight, getting tight with wheel into it. Do you think it is coincidence that those tight instances happen when it's the 5 on the 11's door?
I think they just race hard each other. I mean, the 5 doored us pretty hard yesterday on restart, like real bad, like almost as much as the 34 did.
Well, the 34 wrecked you.
I think the 5.
Damn near killed you.
I think the 5 puts people in a really bad spot.
Yeah,
and he does a really good job at it.
Yeah.
He does it. He puts people in a really bad spot, more graceful than anybody ever has.
Yeah.
And the 11 uses
is also pretty good.
He uses people up a lot.
Yeah.
And those two are two of the best at it. So
and they
I
race
say the
for
5
wins.
probably doesn't let the 11 use them up as much as some people do.
Yeah.
And the 11 might use the 5 up more than he probably should, knowing who it is.
And both those guys don't lift.
Denny also, it's well documented, Denny's got a little bit of an ego. And Kyle Larson's probably one of the best race car drivers that we've ever seen. So Denny might just have to let him know. Like, see ya, merging.
This is mine.
Yep.
I'm taking it. I've got the leverage. I've got my right front in front of your left front, so I'm going to take your angle, and you can choose to lift or not. You did see flames come out of the pipes of the 11, so he did give – like he didn't run him in the fence. He did lift when he realized that his angle was wrong and they weren't going to make the corner, which now sets the table. So Tyler Mond spotting for the 5. Roll the tape.
He runs you like that every time. You know why? Because you let it happen. Shut the f*** up.
Oh.
Well, those two have had.
It's a spicy interaction.
Well, it's one thing to take that from Cliff.
Yeah.
Right. Like there's times I'll say.
Also, I think that's a Tuesday comp meeting 5-team conversation. Not right after it happens.
Man, I'll say this, and don't at me. There's points in times where spotters begin to read their own headlines, and they think they can say stuff like that, and you got to check them.
Yeah.
It's like, hey, man,
I know.
I'm getting paid a couple $1 million to drive this race car for a reason.
Yeah.
Right? There's some stuff I don't need your input on.
Yeah, you could stick like a.
I'm not saying that's the fact for Tyler Mond. It wasn't that instance, right?
I think you could put a headset on a scarecrow on top of the spotter stand for Kyle Larson. He'd run the exact same way.
Yeah. I think it comes with some merit. Like, if Cliff Daniels says it, right? I think that there is
and he might say it in a closed door setting, and they're going to talk about how they race the 11, but not on a broadcast when people are listening to you. So I think the point that Tyler was making wasn't wrong. I think his delivery of it.
It wasn't what he said. It was how he said it.
Exactly. Curious what's going to happen there. Probably going to be a bit of chewing from somebody to somebody else. I don't know how those conversations go, but a little spicy. Because you don't hear Kyle Larson's generally pretty low key. Sort of fire off that.
He'll give you one of them every now and then if you need it. He'll check you.
Yeah.
But look, it's well documented. Tyler Mond and Kyle Larson have won a lot of races together.
Yep.
And you got to, hey, look, sometimes you just got to tell your teammate to shut the fuck up.
Yeah.
And then you move on with your life.
Yeah.
And that's part of a healthy team at times.
That's it. You should, if you can't tell somebody that you work with in a pressure-packed environment to shut the fuck up, then you probably need to find somebody else to do it.
It's important.
That's it. So now it gets spicy. Rain comes down. Moderate size cell, large window behind it. What are we going to do? We've had these rain tires sitting out all weekend like Christmas ornaments. Here they are. They're here if we need them. Guys, look, it's raining. We have wet tires. Why don't we just go ahead and run it? There was a lot of red and yellow in that cell. And if I had $1 for every rain tire I saw this weekend, I'd be rich. But
something that dawned on me listening to Elton Sawyer after the race.
What dawned on you?
That doesn't always, like, it's not always the first thing in my mind, right? NASCAR is not your local short track. They are in contact with the local weather system. Like, they know, they have a pretty good grasp of what's going on. And there's a lot of people that make a lot of money figuring out how to put these races on.
Yes.
So that cell was coming, and there was nothing behind it. Yep. They knew what time it was. They know what time it gets dark. We have these rain tires. They had a plan. We might not always think they have a plan. There might be some stuff that's questioned, but
I think they handled this great.
We knew that one cell was coming. It was going to rain hard for 5-10 minutes, like that when that last cell came through.
Yeah.
And then it was going to be gone. This is the situation that we have prepared these race cars for. When the track is wet, we don't have to dry it all the way. We take the standing water off, put the rain tires on, put some Rain-X on the windshield.
Let it eat.
Best of luck.
And I think that opens an entire new element to these races, just the introduction of that Goodyear, that wet tire. It performs well, it has good durability, and it presents instances like yesterday or on Sunday that we have never seen. We've never had the opportunity for it to rain. If it rains like that, we're coming back on Monday. Probably going to rain on Monday.
If it comes
probably
rain,
see you on Tuesday.
Well, if it rains like that there, we just go home.
Right, we just go home.
Right? And the race is over, which always is deflating. And if you win a race like that, it's cool to win, but it still is like, it rained.
Yep.
So we've started a race on wets. We've never put them on to finish. And this is the perfect scenario for that. So, like, as much as we've done this,
there's a little bit of a competitive gripe there. Somebody could.
It's the same for everybody. I don't care what anybody says. There's a competitive gripe if you're leading.
Yeah.
And there's an opposite competitive gripe if you're running 25th.
Yeah.
Right. Chase Briscoe, who comes in here in a little bit, ran 25th all day. Puts them on. It's opportunity for everybody.
Yep.
People that are like, well, I don't want her to be chaos in order. Stop. It's rained. Everybody's got wet tires.
Yep.
If you are upset about it, you're probably not going to run real well.
No, and I can assure you this: if your car's damaged on dries, it's going to handle.
What's the
terrible.
What's the competitive gripe? We all knew in the garage that was what was going to happen.
Prior to, right, there was different fuel strategies. Guys on 2, guys on low fuel that instantly had it re-racked that could keep their track position when they were betting on having to get a yellow to keep their track position, or a certain yellow had to, whether it be the 34, a couple of guys that were on low fuel 2 tires that had it went dry the rest of the day in the third stage, it bought them free track position.
Yeah,
that would be the gripe.
I mean, everybody's got a radar.
Yeah, that's true.
Right? Like, everybody there kind of knows the situation and what the play could be.
Yeah, that's right.
So I don't know. That's where I get a little frustrated with teams when it doesn't go their way, so they bitch at NASCAR about it.
Yeah.
It's like, dude, it didn't go your way. Don't throw the whole sport under there because you had a bad day.
Yeah, that's right. So I think all in all, it was awesome. I think the fans enjoyed it.
It didn't look like it was going to be awesome because there was 2 cars that spun out under pace laps.
And I was one of them. So
what happened here to the 8?
Something happened with the steering. Yikes.
Oh, he broke. Okay. Because oh, man. When it rains,
dude,
it literally pours.
Tough stretch for the 8. I think those guys are just reeling right now. Also, he was freaking out of that thing before it even stops. Like, we'll see y'all at home. And then when we put wets on, so our right front is killed, our right rear is killed, facing the wrong direction, and it was my car was absolutely evil to drive. So I spun out. The field's coming to the green. And I just chattered the right rear tire and spun right out. I'd been fine. I'd have caught the tail of the field. It's like, there's no grip there where I was just running. So first restart, let it rip. Everybody's has a pretty decent understanding where to go. You have to go where you're not going, where you have been running all day. Just don't run there. You're going to run on the very bottom. And you're going to run above that seam. So you see the 20 just roll 4 or 5 cars here on the outside. Great corner out of him. So a lot of different options, a lot of different techniques. You see the 45s playing around with a big diamond. A lot of guys choose to go right for the fence. A lot of guys choose to go to the apron. That is wild looking.
I couldn't believe we were going to go. We never talked about it with the pit crew. Like, I didn't know what Blaney's plan was at all until I knew that he was in a bad spot. And as good of a spot as being on the front row is, you're the first one to it. So it's like, and you're on the bottom. So for him to go straight to the apron, I was like, I wonder if he had that plan, or if that, obviously he had the plan, but like if
you're starting bottom, I'm going to wrap the grass here and see what happens.
Yeah.
Now, I tried to wrap the grass and busted my ass. Got in there, and it was legitimately just ice. So we hit the fence here, left rear toe link bolt brakes, and we ran the rest.
I didn't know you did. Damn, you had a rough day.
Yeah.
I didn't know that happened.
Oh, dude, we crashed 4 times. So now the left side toe link bolt is broken, and the left rear is moving around, which was sketchy because you're just waiting on the thing to break. Huh?
Compliance.
Not good compliance.
You think you just got in there on the line too straight?
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm having zero fun at this point in time. But
pegged. Fun meter's
pegged. So guys kept working on it. We just kept working to try to get the tires straighter. And as we did that, it naturally drove better. I felt like at the end of the race so we crossed the start finish line, I back it down into 1, and the tie rod bolt broke. And it would have been a huge wreck if there was one more lap to go.
Yeah.
I felt like my car was Lightning McQueen after the race was over, and just he takes a big breath and the tires fall off. That was how our day went.
Another guy that busted his butt right on the bottom, he got up on the line, was the 10 car,
Yep.
which this has way bigger implications than you think, right? Because the 22, yeah, he just didn't. He almost did the same exact thing you did,
Yep.
where he didn't like get full all the way down and kind of left his right sides on the line, and then he was done.
Yeah, it's ice.
The big news here is that the 22 had wrecked, and him and the 23 are on the bubble racing each other. So the 23 is quite a bit to the good, and then the 23 wrecks, which moves the 22 13 points into the playoffs, and the 23 out. So that is something when Bubba goes and parks in the 10's pit box. That might be some of the frustration there. Yeah.
I can't help. I love that move. I love parking the car. I love when somebody does that.
Parks.
I've never done that,
in the
but
pit stall.
yeah.
And there he goes. Hey, here I'm in your pit stall.
Does he leave it right there?
Yeah, no, he's like 2 stalls ahead of him. Noah just backs up and drives around him. He just got out, sat on the wall.
All right, so here's where you are big salty.
No, here's the frustration. We're
Tell
second.
me.
So like right here. We are second. We take the top.
Okay.
The 34 takes front row.
Yep.
If you want to be on the top,
As Jeff
then
Burton
take the
says,
top.
winners take the front row.
Well, not here. Nope. Go ahead.
It was freaking ice slick. Ooh, he pounds it in there. It was ice slick right
Through
there.
the middle.
Yeah.
Which everybody knew that.
Yes, that's why
So-
people chose the top.
Why? Like, it's just Michael. I feel like races with a chip on his shoulder, which is good because he's hung around in the series a long time because of that. But there's instances like this, and this isn't the first time, where it's like, hey man, we get it that you're racing. He said it after the race, like, yeah, it was a low percentage move and it didn't work out, but I'm racing for my life. Like, yeah, well, so are we. That's a lot of points to our team that we lost.
Yeah.
So like, it's just that it's super frustrating because the biggest frustration is a 7-hour day.
Yeah.
New Hampshire's a really hard place to keep track position with your car all day. We do that. We put ourselves in position to win, right? We make all the right calls, the whole team, all day long. And then he just blows in there because, hey, I'm racing for a spot in the playoffs and ruins your day. And it's like, that's not a really great answer.
Yeah.
Like, what? So, I don't know.
Were you down there when they were having the discussion?
No,
after the
I
race?
stayed far out of that. And I'm probably over my skis talking about it like this in here. But I can say it from our side that I feel like we get used up by the 34 in certain instances. I can point at last year at Gateway. He took 2 tires and just merged us to the fence, right? And we lost a bunch of spots on pit road because, like, they're being aggressive. And they were like, he's almost recklessly aggressive. And it's like, yo, hey, I appreciate you being aggressive, but, like, don't do it where you're affecting our race negatively as well. Like,
yeah.
It's not, I don't know. But if you're standing on his truck, him and Peterson, that's what they feel like they got to do. It's just, it stinks when you're on the other end of it.
Well, both trucks loaded up 2 bad efforts.
He got back to like 15th.
He got back 15th, yep. Not much damage out of them. So, yeah, it is hard racing. It is a mistake out of the 34. I'd be mad, too, if I got spun out running second.
Yeah.
But it was slick as Al through turn 1 and 2 on the bottom. And you saw the fellow we're going to be talking to here in a little bit, Chase Briscoe, chose the bottom and made it work out for him in that green-white checkered to take a 26th place car in the dry to finish second with it as well. And then they got the old broom out. It didn't look great for him. At one point in time, the 20 was back and forth, but ultimately the Loudon Whisperer grabs another lobster.
Yep, we had one on Saturday, and then one again on Sunday. It was, I don't know exactly how the race went because I was focused on us, but we were the first car on 4 tires there, and felt like, Ryan felt like he had an opportunity to get to the outside of the 45, and if it would have rained out, he was kind of like, damn, I thought we had that one. But then the rain comes and
Change the game.
Christopher just has a great restart and drives by everybody. Wet or dry, that son of a gun's going to the front at Loudon. So that leads us to the question of the week. Was the use of wet weather tires a success?
Absolutely. I think also there's elements that we touched on that, hey, maybe potentially NASCAR opens it up for tire options and teams can choose what they want to run or whatever. But this is only the second time that we've ran the wets in a points-paying event. So NASCAR's still trying to understand how much rain is too much rain. Can it be misting? Can it be raining? How much spray? That was the biggest concern was visibility, because we took the mud flaps off the cars, which I agree with. No windshield wipers, so the spray was actually not that bad at all. So all the variables they need to take into account, they just continue to build a database of, okay, what works, what's not working. And I just love the option now, and it changes the complexity of the weekend. It changes your balance of your car, right? It changes your strategy on how you're going to do it and how you're going to attack races and how you're going to call it in relation to a cell coming, if you know that potentially in the back end of the cell you can go racing again. So I love it. Kudos to NASCAR and Goodyear for figuring that out, and they're continuing to try it a little bit more.
Yeah, the thing that I'll say from pit road side, it was super exciting to go back. There was a lot of standing water on pit road. It was all puddling up 2 stalls away from us in the 99 stall. It was literally running downhill. That was, if you ever need to know, I think it's pit stall 6 is the low spot of Loudon, New Hampshire, because all the water was running down to their pit stall, and then there was a hole in the wall from the track. So all the stuff from the front stretch was running across right into their pit stall. It was like the merging of a river out into the ocean.
It was a lot of water down there.
I can speak on the pit road stuff briefly. To dry pit road would have taken too long. It wasn't drying. So the thing that, if it was me, I would keep pit road non-competitive, because it is very dangerous. Because we can say, okay, or maybe we have a wet weather pit road speed where we back it down to 20 miles an hour. That could be something that we do. But running the same pit road speed and trying to have an active pit road the same as it is when it's dry is not conducive. I do hope that we open it up. We say, hey, we're all going to wet weather tires here, and then it's your jurisdiction moving forward.
Yep.
If you want to put slicks on and you wreck, don't call us.
Yeah.
So that is the next progression of this, but we've had to, and everybody's kind of jumped on that, but we've had to do the first progression of it, which was this weekend.
Yeah, try it out,
and then we can move forward. And I think that it was an absolute success.
I'd agree with that. And let's talk to somebody else who also, I would venture to say, he's going to think it's a success too. Chase Briscoe joining us right here in the Nonsense Garage, coming up right after this. As we take a lap to recap the latest NASCAR action, here's a reminder that the sun's rays can put you in the hot seat. About 5.4 million cases of non-melanoma skin cancers, like basal cell carcinoma or cutaneous squamous cell carcinoma, are diagnosed in the U.S. each year. And approximately 90% of cases are associated with the UV radiation from the sun. If left undetected, these cancers can spread or advance locally and become more challenging to treat. Our sponsor, Regeneron, is helping people get real about skin cancer by raising awareness of the potential impact of advanced non-melanoma skin cancers. Visit letsgetrealaboutskincancer.com to learn more and take a pledge to see a dermatologist for an annual skin check.
Join Todd Gordon and myself each week for NASCAR Inside the Race. We'll break down exactly how the race was won.
Plus, we'll dive into the data and go in depth on race strategies, penalties, and rule changes.
Catch NASCAR Inside the Race presented by Consumer Cellular each Tuesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
All right, guys, very special guest joining us right here in the Nonsense Garage. Little bit of cat out of the bag type situation, but the pride of Mitchell, Indiana joins us right here, Chase Briscoe. Welcome to the show, buddy.
Yeah, I'm glad to be on. I've been on it once, but it was not in this studio.
No, what do you think
Wasn't
about
in the Nonsense Garage?
What do you think about the Nonsense Garage?
This thing's pretty cool. I like it.
It's cozy.
I'm not gonna lie, it's a big step up from the seat shop.
It's attached to it, but I had a part in designing this, Dad had a part in designing that. That's why it looks so nice in here. Hey, strong run last night.
Yeah, it was good. We got lucky and say that the rain came. We were I don't know. If we did everything perfect, we were maybe going to run 20th, 21st. And, the rain came, and we were able to drive to the front. So
there was
saved our
about
day.
4 guys that were absolutely terrible on dries. It was you, the 47, the 42, and the 43 all came out with top 10 runs.
Yeah.
What do you think, just touching on the wets and the difference of the two briefly, why was your car so bad on the dries and then it went better on the wets?
Well, yeah, I don't know. We just weren't good in the dries, for one. Like, we were just really tight, the dead center of the corner, then loose off, and just had no grip. And for some reason, the rain tires gave us more grip and more turn, and we just kept making the thing as free as we could get it to, which, I mean, we were doing that in the dry, and we just never would really see the results of it.
Mm-hmm.
It would just still be super tight. So, yeah, the rain, honestly, everywhere we kind of go and it rains, whether it's an oval or road course, we typically are pretty good and in the mix. So I knew that when the rain came, if we did go back racing, we were probably going to improve our position. Like, I didn't think we were going to fall back any farther than 25th or wherever we were running, but I didn't think we'd get to second. I figured if we could get to, I don't know, 10th, 12th, that'd be pretty solid for us. And yeah, I don't know. It just kind of got lucky, truthfully. The first run didn't go great for me. I think I went 23rd to 20th, and then the next restart I went like 20th to 7th, and I don't know, 8 or 9 laps.
What'd you figure out?
I just started running all over the place, and like I kind of found, I don't know if you felt it, but when you could run the top lane, you'd be really good, and then you'd get to kind of the 3/4 mark, and you would just slide and be sideways. And I just started diamonding, doing this huge diamond, and would just literally run like quarter throttle all the way to the straightaway, and I could just rip compared to a lot of guys. And then started running the grass essentially in turns 3 and 4, and could make up a ton of time there.
Did you ever get your right rear hung on the white line?
One time on entry of 3, I went in there and I got in a little hot, and I got the right rear like right on the paint, and it just spun me out.
Yeah.
How about the start finish line? The first like 10 laps.
Oh yeah,
it was sketchy
because it's granite.
Yeah,
I didn't know that until this week that it was granite. But when you guys went back, I was like, I wonder how many people are going to spin their. It was.
I thought there was going to be about a 10-car pileup.
It was so slick.
The first restart. Well, it's like the Roval in the rain.
Yeah,
it's like ice slick.
You go across and you're like 6,000 RPM, say, and then you just like hit the rev limiter when you go across it.
It's so crazy that you were tight and then you were good, because the talk was on rain tires, since they had no stagger, you're going to be tighter.
Yeah, I think the thing that saved me is with the rain and the lack of grip. Like, I could throttle steer. Like, I would just freaking make the thing get sideways, and then I could backpedal it and save it. Where in the dry, like, you just couldn't do that.
Yeah,
so, yeah, I think definitely just my dirt background definitely helps whenever the rain, just because I feel like I can manipulate the car a lot more and just, I can make the thing turn. Where in the dry, I struggle to make it turn sometimes.
Yeah, you're almost stuck.
Yeah.
I was talking to John Hunter on the way to the plane, and he goes, I was about 12 out of 10 tight.
He was like
dry.
3 laps down at one point.
Yeah. And then he runs 8th.
Yeah.
Did you see him under the caution when everybody's trying to keep their tires cool? Everybody was down at the bottom, and he would on the backstretch run the
road course,
and then drive through the grass like he was in a video game. He's up through the grass.
It didn't seem like the tires were too killed though. The little bit that I saw,
mine
were getting worse.
Mine second to last.
They were getting worse.
Were bad. I had blisters, and I thought I broke a toe link. I was so loose.
I think that second to last set is when everybody was kind of getting it. And then
and it started drying out.
It was drying out, and everybody was kind of running that top. And then the last run, there were so many cautions.
If that last run would have went 10 laps green, I think guys would have blown tires.
I think there's a little bit of. So pit road was really wet. So you couldn't really do competition stops, but I think there's a little bit of, and it'd be good to get your guys' perspective. Should we just say, hey, it's a wet weather race, you can change whatever tires you want from here to the end of the race?
Do you think dries, could you put dries on the last
I think at the end you could.
Yeah.
But the only thing is if you put dries on, I feel like it was only dry in the one lane, dry.
Yeah.
The bottom was still fairly wet.
Yeah.
So I don't know how you would have passed guys if you went to slicks. Because you would have definitely not been able to go
just hammer.
Yeah, you would have.
But
had to just move.
I looked at the lap times right after the race, and they were 33:50s. So somebody could have put dries on, I think. But I think you had to put wets on.
You had to.
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. Like, would
I
you guys
definitely
like
think
for?
the
Would you
team
like
should
for
be able to
NASCAR?
Yeah.
Be like,
do it.
I
Like
agree.
it should be like F1.
So,
Or like if
run
you
what
want to
you
put
want.
on wets,
There you
slicks,
go.
intermediates, you can do it.
yeah.
which I think now
But I'm a
that
fan of the non-competitive pit stops.
are you?
I was. We've been struggling lately, so I was glad.
Yeah, I think that. But also, as NASCAR starts to get more data points and they start to understand the tire and how much water they can run on versus not, I do love the wets and just the more options it gives us. Because
I love that we were able to
every
finish.
other instance in the history of NASCAR, we're loaded up and on the plane. As soon as that,
we would
as soon as that rain
never
comes.
raced yesterday.
Yeah,
I loved it the minute they threw the green and everybody went to the grass and to the
Dude,
fence,
we were
and I
6
was like,
wide.
"Let's go."
It was awesome.
yeah, it was fun.
How many guys do you think worked on the simulator this week on like knowing what the forecast was? Because Blaney never said anything, and we never talked about anything. And then right away he was the first one because we were second on that restart, and he went right to the bottom. So he had a plan to do it.
Yeah.
So I was like, I wonder if people worked on that in the simulator this week, like knowing where
I
they
know
wanna
we
go.
didn't. We definitely did not.
You can't simulate.
I know that I had the plan. They were asking me what my plan was before we got back in the car, and I said I think the apron's going to absolutely rip. But then when I rolled off pit road, I kept gassing it and like getting sideways.
And 1 and 2 apron was not where it was at.
Yeah, and like I tried every lane. I just went to every lane. I'd gas it. I'd get to the same RPM, gas it, get it sideways, and just see which one had the most grip. And I thought up by the wall had the most. So on the initial start, I went literally to the wall, like higher than anybody. And I ripped all the way until the 3/4 mark, and then I about wrecked.
You think because it has more sealer over there?
I don't know.
Yeah.
It's weird.
It
I
was
thought that
weird.
was the
Well,
most.
why do you think the apron would be better? Just because there's no
It's
rubber?
just dirty. Yeah, no rubber.
And it's more abrasive too.
Yeah, so like on road courses at least, like you try to stay out of the rubber in the rain, so you break off line. Like the rubber is extremely slick, so that was kind of my purpose of thinking that the apron was going to be good.
I was
originally.
surprised it got back to almost a racing line as soon as
me
it
too.
did.
Well, as 17 started ripping around the middle like racing line and made a bunch of hay, and then we got there and drove back to second, and it was just like a dirt race.
Yeah, it
with
was.
spotters though, like, all right, this guy's here, this guy's there, and you can make the adjustment. And it was fun because if you missed it, they went by on both sides. Like if you went to run the bottom and you rolled in 5 mile an hour too much and you got your right rear like the 10 car did
Yeah.
on the paint, you were done.
It was fun. I think we just need to put sprinkler systems in at every track.
I would disagree with that, but all right. Let me add
At
on
least the
top
short
of that.
tracks.
What if that would be interesting? What if it was once we committed to wet tires, or if it was raining, we just had like a water truck and we just kept it wet.
That'd be awesome.
Well, I think if you could change, I think the next progression of this, and it's the first time that we've ever done it to finish a race, right? We've done it to start. I think the next progression is, okay, it's a wet weather race. Now you guys do whatever you want. If
Yeah.
you pit, it's non-competitive because pit road was too wet to do competitive pit stops. If you pit, you go back out where you came in. The cars that stayed out are in front of you, but you do whatever tires you want. I
Yeah.
think that is and there's a big swing on adjustments from wet to dry.
Yeah.
So if it is non-competitive, it makes it a little bit more forgiving if you want to take those chances and let the teams have the chance. We don't. The more kind of tolerances we put on the teams, they'll let bet it, like the less opportunity you have to just have a little bit of chaos and a little bit of action.
But the progression of running wet weather tires on an oval 16 months ago was like, that's impossible.
Yeah.
It is
Like
crazy how
everybody
fast
was
it's changed.
scared about putting in Martinsville. No, can't do that.
Yeah.
Every car is going to crash.
I
now
think
look
we
at
should
it.
run wet tires everywhere. They
You've
wear out.
said that.
they
I don't
fall
agree
off.
with that. Just because your stuff drives bad on dries,
No, I'm saying
don't mess
even,
it up for me.
Even in dries, like they fall off. Like we
Yeah.
have comers and goers. Like I don't know. I think it's better overall.
No, what would that be? Softer compounds or just actually treaded
I
tires?
don't know. Let's tread them. I don't know. Whatever we gotta do.
I'll tell you what, this Loudon race though was, before any of it, was quite a bit better than they have been because I don't know, you guys drive like
Loudon's
such
getting raced.
like
I couldn't see it. They were 3/4 of the
well,
track ahead.
everybody, you got a little bit of tire parity, but then you guys don't give or take very well, which is good to watch, right? So like everybody merging, trying to figure out
I'll take no
stuffing each other 3 wide because it looks like
Or 4.
It looks like even in the modified race, like the modified race, they do it more often, but it looks like that kind of slide job, take the lane away, is becoming more like relevant with you guys too.
And the tracks widen out a ton.
Yeah.
we can actually run up the racetrack finally, which is cool.
It's awesome.
Yeah,
it's awesome. One race a year too is
perfect
for that joint. Fans still stayed out, weathered the storm with us. Let's get out of the weeds a little bit though, because we started the weekend. You started the weekend with some excitement. Whether whether or not you realized it, Christopher Bell was there on Friday doing his media before Xfinity and hinted to Chase Elliott a little bit.
You know, I don't think that there really is a leadership role in that aspect. You know, and whenever Chase comes into the car. Whenever
I
wonder who he looked
at. Dude, he
at.
turns as red as
he
his
legit
ream.
turns, as red as a ream.
Whenever we have a new driver into the 19 car.
Oh man.
Oh man. I
Whenever
bet
we
you.
have a new driver into
his
the 19
PR
car,
person's like,
whoever that is.
That's the look of a man who knows he's got an insurance
How much input they have in the team.
So then Kyle Larson fires off the tweet, man, totally blindsided by this news. Wishing at Chase Elliott the best on his new adventure, Joe Gibbs Racing. Have enjoyed you as a teammate. I'm sure this stirred up Reddit. Because you're also a big Reddit head. I'm going to say that the majority of NASCAR fans don't really read sarcasm very well.
Yeah, I'd agree.
So how many people reached out to you or Chase Elliott about this when it happened?
I'd say more probably Chase Elliott, but
yeah,
it was funny. So I was racing the sprint car at New Hampshire Friday night.
The flat track?
Yeah, the flat track. So I was, right before I left, I had my seat on the back of the golf cart, and Christopher was parked right across from me. And he's like, what are you doing?
Was he running it too?
No, he wasn't running.
Oh.
So he's like, they're running sprint cars? And I was talking to him. I talked to him for like 15, 20 minutes, and then he left because he had to go do media. And so I guess like he literally just got done talking to me. Well, I was at the motorhome, and I had to leave to go put my seat in. Well, there was no signal once you left where the motorhome was. So when I left, I literally got a text message as I was leaving, and it was from Christopher, and he said, Chase, I really messed up. And then I went to the sprint car race. I had no signal. Literally, my phone said SOS from 2 p.m. till 1 a.m. So I had no idea what was going on, what he was talking about. And like people were coming up to me at the dirt track, and I was so confused because I literally couldn't get anything. So then when I got back that night, I had all these text messages coming through, and then I saw the video and just thought it was hilarious.
How'd you do in the sprint car race?
Yeah, I ran second.
Did you?
I was just a second place guy. This weekend.
Was that a 360?
Yeah, 360.
At the track in New Hampshire?
Yeah.
They ran wing 360s?
Yeah.
At that same track you raced at?
Yeah, it's Flaz parking lot.
Yeah.
Did you get in fights with any kids?
Nah.
I did do that. 14-year-old.
Really?
He was wanting to fight, yeah.
The first ever race they ran there, he ran a legend car.
I remember going over there and watching. I raced it last year, and I wrecked a kid.
They ran wing 360s around that place?
Yeah.
It's got to be bigger than when you ran it.
No, it's same size.
No, same size.
It's pretty small.
So you and Loudon were familiar with second place finishes this week.
Yeah, we were just second place guy this week.
Man, I keep called him this last year, the Loudon Whisperer, Christopher Bell.
He's the GOAT of that place.
He's so good, man. What do you
think? Unbelievable.
What do you think? Now, if this is hypothetically somebody who you might be comparing notes with over the next couple of years, what do you think makes him so good at Loudon?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we can all agree that Loudon, you have to have a really good car, right? Like, it is very car dependent to a certain extent, but there's something to be said that
race a wheelbarrow around.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. Like, he's won, I think, 7 out of 10 times there. Like, and the other times he's probably ran second. So, like, he's got something that he just does different there.
Yeah.
But that is a place where, like, you have to have a good car too, right? Like, you can't have a bad car, and he's always been in really good stuff, but he is extremely good there. I mean, he's literally the GOAT, I think, of Loudon.
That's no doubt. I mean, when he drove to the lead in the Cup race, I was like, damn, cut the check. And then he had lost track position, and then when it looked like it was going to rain, we were the first one on 4 tires. And I was like, I wonder what happened in the 20. Then they fire back off, and there he is again, just straight to the front of the field. I was like, damn. I don't remember, and I was trying to think if it was Jimmy Johnson at Lowe's Speedway or Martinsville. Like, I don't remember a driver ever being that much better than the field at a track, especially
Richard Petty, North Wilkesboro.
But like, especially now with SMT, because you guys can all see what he's doing.
I mean, Bell might break the record, like, for most wins at a track.
Yeah,
because I mean, he's only 29.
He's gonna be racing for another decade.
More than that probably. He's probably got another 15 in him.
Yeah,
get him a modified ride, see if he can win that there.
I'm sure he could. I'm sure he could. Well, we don't want to touch on too much. We're going to touch on more, guys. You're listening to us here on Tuesday, whether it's on SiriusXM or on YouTube. We're going to get into the full episode on Thursday on Spare Change with Chase Briscoe, because we're going to talk about hypotheticals in a moment. You were coming from a place you had worked with Kevin Harvick, and I wanted to touch on that a little bit because it seemed like, and I even said this last year when it was happening, Kevin Harvick and Anheuser-Busch and some of the big partners there were like the last ones holding their thumbs on all the holes of the Stewart-Haas ship that might have looked good from the outside, but internally it looked like it was sinking. Mm-hmm. That guy leaves, a cornerstone partner leaves, and it takes on water, and within 4 months it liquidates. And you've been on that boat from the get-go. Did you see the demise coming?
A little bit. I would say that I never thought it would get to this point. Like, I didn't think that we would be completely done.
Yeah.
Like, I thought that there was a chance we would maybe get rid of one charter and scale down to maybe 3 cars, or at the worst 2 cars. But yeah, never did I think that we would just completely dissolve. But it's been interesting. Like, I've been at SHR for 7 years now, and I've only been on the Cup side for 4, but those first 3 years, like, I remember going to the Cup shop, and just the atmosphere over there was different than what we had when I got to the Cup Series. The year I came into the Cup Series, the year before as a company, I think we won 27 races between Cup and Xfinity. And then the year I got to Cup, we didn't. I don't think we won. No, I think Kevin won 1. So, like, over the last 4 years, we've won 4 races, and the year before that, we won 26. So, I mean, from a performance standpoint, you kind of knew that there was probably going to be changes made, but I guess I don't realize how good that place is, like, internally. Like, we were kind of talking about it before, right? Just a really good atmosphere and vibe over there, like, even as bad as it is with all the holes in the ship and, like, all the water coming on. And I didn't even realize that till about 2-3 weeks ago. Me, Josh, and Noah were upstairs after our comp meeting, and it was after the announcement came out, and they're like, man, this is sad, like, that this place is going away, and, like, how good it is. And I didn't realize how good it is, because I've been there for 7 years, right? Like, that's all I know. They're like, man, we've been at a lot of different places, and they're just not like this. Like, the atmosphere and the vibe and the people, and I guess I probably took for granted how good it really was the last 7 years, even during the demise of kind of everything falling apart. So, yeah, it's sad. I definitely didn't think that we would be at this point now, and you knew that there was going to be changes made, but definitely didn't see a world where it was just gone forever.
I think, and I've never really understood, because I've only been with smaller teams and also, like, with drivers who are inexperienced that I was at the similar instances of my career. But working with a guy like Kevin, what do you learn from that guy in terms of his preparation?
I think that the one thing I learned is Kevin Harvick is, first off, just unbelievable at how he can steer the ship, and just how he gets points across is unreal.
Yeah.
Like, I remember there was one competition meeting that I forget what even happened, but we just missed a lot of little things on the car, and it was like a steering, I don't remember what it was, the pedals or something. And it was like he always talks about little details. Like, you got to do the little details right. And he starts off, it was almost like a sermon, like how he just wraps it all together, right? So in our bathroom upstairs where the offices are, we had this light bulb that had been out for, I don't know, 7 months. Like, it had just been out. And then we have forever this huge pothole right when you pull in. Like, there's this massive pothole. So he starts talking about how you got to do all the little details right and all this stuff. And he wraps it up by saying, how do you expect us to put winning cars on the racetrack if we can't even change the light bulb in the bathroom and fix a pothole that's been there for 10 months? Like, and just wraps it all together, right? And then next day that light bulb was changed. The pothole was getting filled in. Like, he's just so good at, like, steering the ship and, like, just make it, like, when he speaks up, people listen. And then the other thing that just blew me away with Kevin was, the last year of his career, being there and getting to see, he's 47 years old, I think it was, and he's on his way out. He's done literally anything and everything, and that guy is still the simulator every single week. He's still taking notes, like, just, I mean, absolute grinding. And I remember when I won at Phoenix, he was one of the first people that texted me and just, said, hey, look, now that you've won one, don't just be complacent. Like, you got to keep working and keep doing what you did to get here. And I think that was so true, getting to see kind of behind the scenes how he would go about things. Even, going into Phoenix or even through the playoffs, he wasn't even in it, and he's still at the simulator, 7 a.m. Like, just guy just works his tail off, and it's pretty amazing to see it behind the scenes and then realize why he's as successful as he was.
Yeah.
Now, the other person that built that place, your childhood hero, Tony Stewart, right there, you talked about how many good people are at Stewart-Haas, and I think a lot of that is left over from, when I went there in 2011, it was to be around Tony.
Yep.
And there was a lot of people that went to Stewart-Haas. That's why Gene gave him half of the team, right, to attract those great people and get his talent in there. I think about him a lot because he's an emotional guy. He's your childhood hero. I wanted to understand what the conversation was like between you and him when, it was kind of clear that the 14 team was going away.
Yeah, I would say that it's 100% true that, probably over half of our company is there because of, Tony. And they feel that tie to Tony and feel like they'll do anything for Tony. And I think that weighed on Tony a lot. Like, whenever he did come into the shop, you could tell, he was – it wasn't easy for him because he has, a personal relationship with a lot of these guys. And, there was just a lot of variables that, I think were even out of his control of kind of what all went down. So it was hard for him to come in there and, face everybody. But, he wanted to make sure that he was there because he cared about everybody, right? So, yeah, when he came in, he set all the drivers down first. They did it in kind of 3 30-minute blocks. So the drivers got to know first. Then they told the crew chiefs and they told the company. And he was pretty tore up, especially when he talked to the company. You could just tell it was really, really bothering him. And, yeah, not embarrassed is the right word. I don't really even know what the word would be, but it wasn't a pleasant thing for him to be doing. So, yeah, it was hard for him. I called him, a couple weeks after the fact and just talked to him and told him thank you so much for everything that he'd done for me in my career. And we had a good conversation and just talked about how, trying to go out on top with the 14 car and just how special it was for him to let me drive the 14, which was really cool for me to hear, right? Growing up, the guy's your hero, and for him to just talk about how much it meant for him to kind of give back and let another Indiana kid drive the 14. It was pretty cool conversation.
I was only there for 3 years. And I've been in the Cup Series for 18 now, and that was the shortest place I've ever been. And I poured my f***ing heart and soul in that 14 car, and when I see that number, when I see it do well, I still have, I still pull for the 14 just because of how much we all did together, that run we went on in 2011, and because of the people that are still there working on it, people I know that are still there, like hot sauce, there's a lot of. The 14
group is got to be the longest tenured team in the garage.
Oh yeah, and that's the thing is it's as good as it is that you'll get another ride and another opportunity in the Cup Series. It's still something about that number font. When I go into my office and I see where we won the championship and that car is sitting there, it's just there's still a special spot in my heart for that, and I'm sure that'll be tough to leave behind when you leave.
For sure. And when I talked to Tony, I told him, I said, man, I didn't even think about it. And I said, I did a interview with a reporter the other day, and they brought up, running the 14 at Indy for the Brickyard. And I was like, man, I will start crying. It was just hard to think that, I'll at least I'm glad that I'll at least get to run one Brickyard 400 in the 14. For me personally, that is the coolest thing ever. So, yeah, it was kind of weird. Tony, I don't think he'd even thought about that yet. That this will be the last time. He's probably going to be an owner at Indianapolis and with the 14 car, and he was, you could tell, kind of hit him too. So yeah, the 14 car, it's just, I don't know, something about it. If you've worked on it, you kind of know, right? It's special. The people are special. We were just talking even amongst our team guys the other day or over the weekend. It's just sad knowing that this is the end. We're not ever going to work together again as a full group. And our group just has such a camaraderie. We literally do stuff like we're family members. We all go to each other's place and hang out, and just it's hard to find that type of
culture.
Yeah, it's just super hard to build. And our group has had it since day one, and it's sad to see it kind of come to an end.
So obviously that news certainly took wind out of probably everybody's sails a little bit. But you still have half the season left to race, and you're on the bubble inside the playoffs at the moment. How do you keep your guys and your team focused on the the objective, because this is essentially the last ride of the 14.
Yeah, I think that it's different. Like our whole company, I think each team is taking it differently. I think that, going back to what I was just saying, our group is so strong that, I mean, literally, I remember Tony told the whole company, we all walked over to the 14 setup plate, and like our guys all like pretty much put our hands in and said, we're sticking out to the end. Like we all signed up for this. We want to be here. We can't let each other down. And, I don't know if the other groups there really have that. We've lost a couple shop guys like on the 14, but the road crew guys, I mean, they're
riding it out.
Yeah, they're not. They feel like I said, we are so close. Like we literally feel like we'd be letting each other down if one of us walked, and we're just not going to do that.
Yeah.
Do you feel like it's divided the 4 teams at all, kind of, because you guys are all racing for spots in the series somewhere else?
Not really.
Like it hasn't boosted in-house competition.
I just feel like as a company, we've always kind of been all divided, truthfully. So it's not really anything different, I wouldn't say. I think if we were a little more like one big team, it would maybe do it a little bit more. But truthfully, as a company, we've always ran as 4 separate teams until this year. Like this year is really the first year, at least the 4 years I've been there, that we've ever really worked together. Like, I mean, all 4 drivers work together, all the 4 crew chiefs work together, and it's never really been like that. And I think that's why at the beginning of the season you did see us run so much better, because we finally were working together as a team. And that's what's been kind of tough is, just knowing that we had such a good thing. Like we were building, like we were 100% better than what we were last year. And just as a company, I think even our culture, like all the crew guys, shop guys, everybody kind of felt it, that all the crew chiefs were finally working together, the drivers were working together, and then, we don't get a build on that anymore.
You think if that would have happened sooner, do you think if you guys all started pulling the rope and working together sooner, that this would have changed, or do you think that this was coming anyway?
I think there's a lot of different variables that made it all come to an end, but I mean, I don't know. I think even if we were winning, we maybe would have been in the same spot, right? Like it's hard to say.
I don't know. Winning fixes a lot of things.
I mean, winning fixes a lot of things for sure, but I don't know. There's just so many things that I feel like went into this decision that it's hard to say. Like if we're winning 10 races a year, probably not going to happen. But even if you just win 1 or 2, like I don't know if it really changes a whole lot.
Yeah. I want to back up a little bit too and get into this, because I do your story, man. There's only like any kind of wave of young drivers. There's only like 3 or 4 or 5 that get in off just merit and a little bit of luck and right place, right time with no funding behind them. And you're one of those 3 or 4 guys.
Yeah.
And I have some personal equity into that journey, because I was your crew chief / spotter for your first ARC race. I think we talked about this when you were on the Stacking Pennies last year, but I don't think it's talked about enough how you have weathered the storm, right? And you have had so many instances of these watershed moments where one thing goes right, one thing goes wrong, and it just continues to, you're a man of faith. So you've talked about how the Lord continues to open doors and close doors, and He's closing a door. And now He's opening a door probably that you never even envisioned.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. My whole career has literally been just, doors that have opened that probably shouldn't have opened. And it's funny, going back to even when I was 15, 16, 17, racing sprint cars and living at home. Like I remember there was one year I raced, I think 8 races one year. Like that's all I raced. And I remember we blew a motor early in the year. And my dad came in my room and was like, what are we going to do? Like, I can't pay for you to go race anything. Like, we can't even fix the motor right now. So if you want to go find something, like, you need to start trying to figure something out. And we would literally, he's like, let's just pray about it. And we prayed about, if God, if you want the door to be opened up, open a door. And if you want it closed, then close the door. But if you want us to continue racing for whatever reason that may be, then open a door. I kid you not. Week and a half later, guy called us, said, hey, we want to sponsor you $5,000, like just randomly out of the blue.
Yeah.
And like my whole career has been like that, where, a door shuts, pray about it, and somehow another door that's honestly even better opens up. And I mean, literally my whole entire career, when I was 18, same thing, motor blows up early in the season, had nothing. I'm on Facebook randomly and scrolling, and there's this Peak Stock Car Dream Challenge thing. Signed up for it. That's the whole reason I ever even came to Charlotte in the first place. I came down here. I'd never driven a stock car, never driven on pavement, never even driven a manual transmission before, and I end up getting to come down here and run at Charlotte Motor Speedway. Ty Norris sees me, tells me, hey, you need to move to North Carolina, so I do that. Lived down here for 3.5 years, slept on a couch. That's when, at the end of that,
Did you sleep on Hornaday's couch? Because that's like the magic couch.
Ross Weiss, me and Bell both slept on the couch.
Oh.
Yeah, so.
Is he an announcer? He's a
video guy for World of Outlaws.
World of Outlaws, yeah.
Yeah. And slept on his couch for 3.5 years. Was literally, I decided I was done. I was moving back to Indiana. Literally had half my stuff. Was driving back to Indiana.
Was that with the Roush 60 car?
Yeah, and Bell was the one that called me and said, hey, I'm not going to take it. You need to go in there. I just walked in the front door at Roush. I knew the guy's name that reached out to Bell. I said, I need to talk to this guy. Somehow they let me in the back, talk to him.
Yes.
And then I'm driving back to Indiana, had half my stuff, and Cunningham Motorsports calls me and said, hey, Roush Fenway, we were talking to them. They said that you might be interested in coming and testing a car. So then I went back to Cunningham, started volunteering there for 4 or 5 months before I finally got in the car for the test. Then that test goes well. Then we run those races where you crew chief and spot for me. Didn't do very good. And Mamba was on the car too. Mamba was our tire guy.
I got off the record story on that. I'll tell you later.
And then going into 2016, I have nothing. And
they didn't go bad. Where were to go? Salem?
We were in 10th at IRP and 5th at Salem. We could have won Salem at the tire thing.
Could have won. No, that was IRP.
Yeah.
We didn't take tires, and the one fellow that did, Travis Braden maybe, put tires on. He was running like 10th all day. Anyways, minor detail.
Yeah. But
I say all that, one, because we're going to get into the next door of your career that opened.
Yeah.
We can't, when you're listening to it on Tuesday, we can't tell you. Somebody else already told you on Friday. You can put the pieces together. But we're going to get into how that door opened and the story from start to finish on Thursday. But you're listening to us on SiriusXM Channel 90 and YouTube on Tuesday. But Thursday is going to be the meat and potatoes of the next chapter of your career, Chase. So we're going to end this, and we're going to fire back up, and you better tune in for Thursday because you're not going to want to miss it.
I'm Ryan Flores. Join Kim Kuhn and myself each and every week at Around the Track. We'll get you ready for the upcoming race weekends from short tracks to the Cup Series, whether you'll be attending in person or watching from home.
Coming your way each week is the best bets to win some easy money and driver suggestions to help pump up your fantasy lineups. Around the Track also tells you what to watch for in the NASCAR Regional Series and which young phenom drivers to keep your eye on.
Plus, our At Traction segment gives you all of the fan activities, concerts, and tailgating fun at the track. Be sure to check out Around the Track each and every Wednesday on NASCAR's YouTube channel.
All right, everybody, welcome back. Pit Road Boats and woes time. Couple woes from the Cup race, couple woes from the Xfinity race. First up, what do we got?
Looks like the 19 had a slow stop. I haven't seen it yet, so this is my live reaction. They come right side. Oh, okay, so it looks like they didn't get the right rear tight, and there was some indecision on if they should tighten it or not. The rear changer decided it wasn't when he stood up. Sometimes, so if we go back and just start from the beginning, he gets there. Sometimes when you go to hit it, you either don't get your button switched or it doesn't get flat against the plate, and you think it's tight, and then when he goes to leave, he stood up, and if he looked back at it, there's a paint line that a lot of people paint around their snout, and if the nut's not past that, it's a pretty good indication that it's loose. He saw something he didn't like, so they had to come back and retighten it. The 19 has had a tough year on pit road. It's been documented. Rear changer's really young. He got put on there a couple races ago, and they're just that was a tough one to have a tough one. A tough time to have a tough stop.
Then he gets back in traffic, right? Gets spun out, gets some damage, and then it changes the whole trajectory of your race.
Yep. Yeah.
Got to limit them woes.
Yeah, I mean, there's no worse feeling than having a bad pit stop, setting your guy in the back, and getting the car wrecked. That's the absolute worst feeling, I think, in racing.
One of the biggest woes that I have seen in a while on pit road was this Sam Hunt Racing, Corey Heim, Yahoo Camaro, or Camry.
Now, I want to see, so we have this video. I watched a little bit of it live, but it was on TV, so I couldn't, I was like, I was at a point where I couldn't rewind it with TV I was watching on. So if we rewind it from the very beginning, There's something that the hose gets stuck under the right front.
Yeah. Tire.
So I don't know if it was.
Now the gun's stuck. Can't get it. Oh, no. Oh.
So I don't know if it stemmed from the hose throw. If the 26, it looks like, see how he's parked on the line? They did not put the pit sign where he's parked. I can guarantee you he went 2 or 3 foot long.
Yep.
Right? So the hose throw gets under the car.
The boxes there are.
Now, the way to fix this, the right way to fix this, all you have to do is back the car up. Or you go over and jack it up. But this was, that was a tough sequence for them.
I think they rallied. I think he ended up finishing halfway decent.
So he leaves the right front. It gets stuck. He knows it's stuck. He's trying to get it out.
And it ain't.
They don't have, so now that it's on the jack, they don't have the time to put it down and roll it back.
Yeah.
So if they notice it beforehand, the rear changer will run over. There's a little bit of confusion. He'll run over.
Okay.
That's where, this is where the open microphones that we all wear now are very, very useful. It would have fixed this situation. But here, oh man, that's a tough spot to leave the gun.
Pow!
Oh, they got really lucky that didn't come back and hit him in the face. They handled it. They got back out. There was a green flag stop, which
that was a green flag stop.
I think it was a green flag stop.
Boy,
which made them. There's a couple different things there. The 21's coming around you. There's a lot going on. But if I go back to the beginning of what happened, I'm not trying to be a pit crew guy sticking up for everybody here,
Homer.
but that's what happens when you miss the mark and slide long. Is that those are the issues you have. You have to get the hose out. I've had that happen to me before. You start with the first thing. The first thing was you go long. The second thing is the hose under the tire, the changer. You want to try to see that and pull it out because it's going to be a big issue. You take the second penalty of doing that, then the 20-second penalty of having to change the left front with the rear tire changer's gun. And yeah, like we said, you were not seeing those mistakes as much. Like if you watched the 19s before that, they have the open microphone. So you can see him stand up, think about it. The jackman looks at the rear changer because he says something to him and runs back around. Where in years past, he would have ran around, jacked the car up, not seen the rear changer there, then been looking around, then he'd have been waving, then the left front would have been off, and then it would have been a complete cluster. So that's where when you can have that open comms like we have now, where no, everybody stops, you look, identify the problem, run back around, fix it, and it saves you 10, 20 seconds or even laps.
Yep.
So that's where the progression of the sport has gone.
Another big woe, radio woe this weekend in that one car. Sam Mayer. Oh
no. That's the second time I've heard that.
I know it's annoying. We'll be all right.
I'd turn it off.
I'm still with you here, Sam. We need to get to channel 2 if we can, though. That sound right there is going to haunt my sleep.
Yeah, dude, it breaks your concentration. It makes you irritated. It makes you anxious. Just that in your ear. I wonder did they get it fixed? They ended up getting it fixed. I don't know if that's
Or if they just switched to channel 2.
Somebody's sitting on the button, something.
Yeah.
But that is brutal.
Yeah. Yeah,
could have got wet.
Worse.
Right, it was raining.
Yeah, there's nothing worse. Radio issues,
knows?
Man, are
frustrating.
Oh man, it's like having a brake issue. You don't know where it is. You just gotta change everything. But yeah.
So who are the dogs?
Them dogs this week, it was the 11 team. 11 team is back up front. They've taken a couple weeks off, kicking everybody's butt, but they were back at it this weekend. They had the best average. They were tied for the fastest stop of the race, and kudos to those guys. They are magic, as some would say. They're a great pit crew, and the 11 team back on top.
Dogs back on the porch.
Yeah.
Did he have any problems? Did he have any damage or anything? Or his car wasn't good on wets?
I'm not really positive what happened.
Because mine was absolutely destroyed, and I finished right next to him.
Yeah. The wet weather did not seem to be his strong suit.
Well, we got the dogs.
Yep, that's it. We're off to...
we got some penny for your thoughts. We got a bunch of them this week. Keep firing them away. # penny for your thoughts. What do we got this week?
All right, 2 penny for your thoughts questions. The first one, you said your grandpa was coming to the racetrack. How many family members did you have at Loudon?
Just my aunt and uncle, Missy and Jim. So Don pulled the plug. He said, I am not going.
He didn't want to get rained on.
He didn't want to get rained on. I'm sure that now that we got going and we got racing, I think that he probably would have wished he'd have came. I got to call him today and check on him, see if everything's going good. I missed seeing him this weekend. But, yeah, a small group of family.
So you didn't get close to the 80 that Blaney had at Iowa?
He had that many people there?
I asked him in Victory Lane, who are those people? He goes, that's my family and extended family. And I'm like, you know all of them? He's like, yeah, I know most of them. I was like, pretty impressive.
It's funny when you win and you go to Victory Lane, everybody's your family.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I know him. He's my third cousin.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm sure.
But his family, so
if you have a day like I did, you have no family that want to come support you.
To his credit, I think his Iowa-based family on his mom's side is from the Newton area.
Oh.
Where Norwalk, Connecticut is not super close to Loudon, New Hampshire.
4 hours.
So, yeah, that's if we raced in Norwalk, Connecticut, you'd have a lot of family.
We'd have a lot of family, for sure.
Second question.
Yep.
Do teams pay for rain tires if they go unused during a race?
I have no idea.
You better believe they're paying for tires.
Yeah.
Yeah, those tires are bought and paid for. I think they roll over to the next time we would run a rain race. I don't know if they ever date out. That would be a great question for our tire guy Mule. So if you ask this question again next week, I will get the answer for you, but I don't have it offhand. I will tell you this though: if they are mounted on wheels, you're
paying for. Faux show. Yep. I think they probably handle those tires differently though than a normal tire because they aren't transmissible to other racetracks.
All right, next question: do you have any rain delay rituals?
I try to not eat.
Yeah, right.
I mean, but I mean.
Oh man.
I didn't eat a bunch of junk. I had a couple Kind bars. I changed fire suits because the one was wet from sweat the first half of the race and got rained on. So I just did a wardrobe.
I don't want to get too far in the weeds.
I drove what?
I went. You know how it's just snack time.
Yeah.
Always.
Yeah.
I went and I was looking at all the stuff we had and I was reading the ingredients. And I was like, oh my, okay. I just ate a piece of beef jerky and went back out there. If you want to start snacking, if you really want to just start eating everything during a rain delay, start reading the ingredients and then go, damn it, I'm just going to be hungry here.
Ain't no ingredients on an apple, bro. It's just an apple.
Hey, I'm with you.
So I had some stuff, a couple Kind bars.
Dude, ain't nobody ever had a rain delay and said, give me an apple.
That was the only thing that I saw.
Maybe a candied apple. A rain delay brings out the worst eating habits in your ever.
For sure.
You're like, okay.
It really does.
Where's the chili chicken Cheetos?
Oh, right? I'd do a walk-in taco for sure if it was available.
Okay, and then, hey, what kind of ice cream we got up there?
Yeah.
All right, hey, what's in the snack drawer?
Yeah.
We got some Fig Newtons. I haven't had Fig Newtons for a while.
Yeah, what are these?
I was 15 years old. I'm going to eat some Fig Newtons.
Yeah,
what else we got?
Peanut M&Ms?
Mini donuts? Okay, yeah, give me the mini donuts. What kind of trail mix we got?
Yeah.
That is how a rain delay goes.
Yeah.
Don't be talking to me on here about an apple.
Well, all the snacks were put away, so I didn't have the.
You find them.
During a rain delay, I didn't go looking for them.
You are like, it's like looking for Atlantis.
I was big mad that I got crashed, so I wasn't very hungry.
I might even go in a Gibbs truck to look for snacks.
I've done that before.
That's who I am. That's the kind of human I turn into when it rains.
Well, I went in the 5 truck a couple weeks ago at Sonoma.
Cliff will chase you out of there. Court.
They have, it looks like a Whole Foods snack bar in there.
They actually, I've heard that they have a juice bar. They have a barista working the 5. If you go in there, there's actually a clean juice Cliff has set up inside of the 5 truck.
There's no junk in the 5 truck. It is all, they have avocados.
Yep.
Healthy foods, brain fuel only.
Yeah.
With like sayings on the back of the, they have like, motivational sayings, how you do, one thing's how you do all things.
They want them to say, shut the f*** up.
Yeah. They're adding the decal this week. Yeah, I think they're adding that decal to the back door of the 5 truck as we speak. What else? We got any other questions? We got one more question.
Yeah, one more. What is your fondest memory of your kids enjoying something at the racetrack?
Of my kids, they're super young, so we haven't had a ton. I think a lot of it's just taking them to the racetrack, letting them ride their bikes around the garage area. I think one of my favorite memories was last year. It was raining a lot at Dover, and Levi was just starting to ride a pedal bike, so we took our pedal bikes out at Dover. We rode around the track, so that was a lot of fun. And then we get to go see some different things, get to go scope it out with kids in different areas, but haven't made a whole lot yet. I've got a good one. I've got a lot of fun. What do you got?
So Harper came to the racetrack to Bowman Gray this weekend. It was funny. I got some cool videos of, like, we're out in the ball field. She's like doing cartwheels at Bowman. Yeah, I'm like, it's pretty cool. And she's into racing now to where, like, she gets it. And hell, there was a point in time where we won every indoor race she came to that year. Then we won Turkey Derby in a street stock, won all the indoor races. Then she came to Daytona 500 and we won that. She didn't know what it was like at the end of the race to not go to victory lane.
Yeah.
Right. So we at Bowman Gray this weekend. She's 6 now, and she had like this Cinderella wand. So before she went up to the grandstand, she's like, "Oh, I gotta give you good luck on the car." So she waved this wand, and then she waved it at me. And then there's a video of her waving the wand all race, and we wrecked. So that wand is going in the trash. That is where I'm at with that wand. See you, Cinderella. Catch you next week. Yep. Goodbye.
Why'd you break your wand, man?
Yep. It didn't work.
It ground your gears?
Yep.
Penny stackers, man. Northeast brought out a lot of penny stackers. Several penny additions to the pot this week. There was even a couple at the Manchester Fisher Cats game.
Let's go.
So I signed some autographs there. A lot of penny stacking fans. Shout out to all you guys who introduced yourselves and said you loved the show. It really does mean a lot that you guys listen, whether it's on SiriusXM or YouTube or wherever you find your podcast, because we have a lot of fun with it. I hope you enjoy listening to us.
Do people ever do like the, "Hey, where's Skip?" Because I always get the, "Hey, where's Corey?" And I'm like, probably in the 7 truck.
Yeah.
I guess.
I don't know. We're buds.
I get that.
We don't walk around together.
Or
hand
the other
in
thing
hand.
I get is like when, like, if you get turned around or you bring caution out, everybody turns and looks at me. I'm like, I'm on your team. I don't know. What do you want me to do?
Yeah, I'm wrecked.
What do you want me? I didn't do that. Like, yeah, it sucked. They're like, "Oh, that's your friend." I'm like, "Yeah, man." What?
Yeah. Yeah, sorry. So, I mean, yeah, I guess that's good. I guess that's bad. I don't know.
Hey, I'm ride or die here.
Ride or die. Here we are, for better or worse. Been worse.
Anything grind your gears? I had it's always tough during rain delay, and I hurt our engineer, Tony Palmer. I kind of baited him into it. We were up top of the pit box when that big rain came through, and we started. The tops of the pit boxes will gather water, and they'll start leaking, so you have to dump them. And I was like, "Hey, make sure there's nobody down there," and dump that. He's like, "Y'all good?" And he didn't see anybody, and he dumped it, and it went right on the guys below us.
No.
That is like,
who was it?
It was a Money, our interior guy. There was a couple guys down there, but we were all soaking wet at that point anyway. You just kind of accept that it sucks and that you're wet and you're cold. But yeah, getting the worst is in the mornings when it had rained the night before and you go to take the covers off the pit boxes and someone's not expecting it, because it's like, at least when it's actively raining or during a rain delay, you are just wet.
Mm-hmm.
But like the morning of a race after the rain the night before and you get wet and it's a dry day, that's when you're pissed off.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just something to deal with.
Wet toast, grind your gears.
Wet socks.
Oh, I guess I witnessed a homeless person get hit by a car on my run in Manchester. That really ground my gears. So I've been on a kick.
I can't think of a worse place to be homeless than in New Hampshire. That's got to be cold.
Brutal. It was hot this weekend. But so I've been on a kick. Been running at least 2 miles a day for about a month now. And rain or shine, I'm out there putting them work in. So I get there, kind of map out a little 2.34 mile loop, and I'm at the intersection of my hotel after this run. And about 50 yards in front of me, this homeless fella with a backpack on is like shuffling across the street. And on the cars that are coming from my right to my left, there's 2 lanes that are going straight. Then there's the 3rd lane that people roll and take rights, right? Well, he's shuffling past the first 2 that are sitting at the light, and there's a Jeep that rolls, looking at the light, smokes this fella.
Oh,
I've never seen anybody get hit. He gets thrusted 15 feet away, knocks the backpack right off and a shoe. And I was far enough away where I wasn't like the first 2 or 3 to this fella, and I was just like, I was like, holy shit, this guy just died. He was very vocal that he was hurt, so he was not dead, thank God. There was a cop somewhere nearby. He comes rolling up. Everybody was on their phone calling 911. Wild situation. There was nothing that I could do. This was on Saturday.
I was gonna say if that was Sunday, you had a really chaotic day.
No, yeah. I had just a chaotic weekend overall. So that really ground my gears. That Jeep smoking that homeless fella. But I think they put him on a little. So during the hustle and bustle, there's nothing I'm gonna do. I am not trained in any sort of medic. All I could do is say a prayer for the guy. Continue walking. I go up to my room. My room was facing the intersection, so I could
You watched the whole thing?
I watched the whole thing. Ambulance rolls up. They put the neck guard on the guy. They get the guy in the truck, and they shuffle him away. He was in good hands.
My back. My neck and my back.
He was in bad shape.
Yeah.
So now there was another homeless guy at the same intersection.
Where were you staying?
In Concord.
Okay.
It's a nice place for homeless people, I guess. So there was somebody else. Maybe somebody else assumed his intersection. Like there's a hierarchy. Like he had a good intersection, and then he gets whacked, and then
I'm not
somebody else
following
grabbed it.
you.
Or it could have been the same guy the next day.
You're going here by yourself.
That's fine. So when I ran the next day, there was some other guy that looked similar to this other guy. Maybe he made a full recovery.
Just warn him about the Jeep. Hey man, there's a Jeep coming.
Watch out for that guy.
Stay out of the road. Wait for the crosswalk sign to turn on.
And that's all I got. We're out of the weeds now.
Hey, we're going to Nashville next week.
Yeah. Tune in. We're going to break down some Nashville this week on Spare Change, along with the full Chase Briscoe episode that you will not want to miss. Let's just get right into it. That's enough talking for me today. Appreciate you guys listening to Stacking Pennies, whether it's on YouTube, SiriusXM, Channel 90, or where you find your podcasts. Like, download, share, rate, review, all the things to keep this thing chugging right along. And tune in to @_Stacking Pennies on Instagram for your chance to win some Arctic swag. Talk to you next week. Keep stacking pennies. Watch out for them Jeeps. Goodbye.